yourselves together. Rise. Stand up and live your life. Rise. Get yourselves together. Rise. Hands up high. Hey. Stand up to the devil, slowly rise and clear your throat now. You can call for their demise. Speak out. Don't let the status quo define you. This is your world. Just put the fear back in their eyes. There comes a time when you know there's a problem. Rise up, it's the dawn of a new day. Hands up, it's gonna be okay. Even when they strangle you, get yourselves together. Strike down all that oppose you. Look now, what have they sold you? Even if they anger you, get yourselves together. Get yourselves together.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you here. We are live right now at the Stronghold Arena, exclusively here on Armstrong Cable, to talk about something that we all love, and that is the RYSE Report. If you do not know already, I am the Rev Ron Hunt, and this,
Best in the multiverse, DK Abel. You should know that by now.
well, we think we know a little bit about that. But guys, we just want to tell you, we had a lot of great things that happened all throughout our last previous event that was right here on August the 4th, and a lot of great things happening. But if you ever want to tune in to see things live based on not just what we're talking about, but live and live in color, you can come right here, 1952 Lamont Furnace, right behind the Laurel Mall, here in the Connellsville area. That's where you want to be. We have a lot of great things going on. Also, make sure that you are following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, RYSE_Wrestling. You can find all your hard-hitting action right here. We also have some very, very big news. A little birdie told the Rev, I don't know about you and your multiverse, but I heard that there's a very big star that might be making his or her way to the Stronghold Arena. We will talk about that a little bit later tonight.
Yeah, it looks that way, but we'll get to that. Starting off here, we're going to talk about one of the earlier matches from the show. It was wide open, Dalton Throttle taking on the Man of War, Zach Thomas. And speaking of wars, we know Dalton Throttle just got through a big war with Christian Noir that lasted several months. Dalton Throttle finally getting the best of him in a last man standing match, and he did the same thing against Zach Thomas. Dalton Throttle is looking like a big player coming up here. He got a big victory.
I think one thing when looking at this, I heard you talk about Christian Noir and how this has been spanning for well over several months. And one thing that I could say just from personal experience, I know that you've been in the ring with him as well, rather training or in ring, but you could say one thing about Christian Noir. Once you step into the ring with a guy like Christian, you are never the same again. However, Dalton somehow finds a way every single time to triumph to that next level. And he proved exactly that here at the Stronghold Arena the last time we met, when he geared up, he buckled up, and he came face to face with War itself. One match that was absolutely unforgettable for all of our fans that were here at the Stronghold Arena, and something that honestly, me being able to call that personally, was something that I was not expecting coming from Dalton Throttle. However, you know, there's only one reason why I really love Dalton. Is because he's all revved up. You gotta love that. So Dalton Throttle all revved up. He took it right there to Zach Thomas, and great things happened. I mean, he stuck there. Not much you can say about that. I mean, not many times you could do that.
Yeah, he's getting bigger and better each time. I expect to see some big things out of Dalton here.
So, guys, we want to continue to have you guys tune in to us. We have so much more to talk about. Make sure you stay tuned. Stay locked in right here to the RYSE Report exclusively on Armstrong Cable. And now moving in right into our next part was one of my personal favorites. I mean, Sean Phoenix, the fire breathing, the fire lighting. I can't even do things like that because, you know, I'm a holy man and I don't believe in fire because that resembles something else. But
and yet he's one of your favorites.
No, he's not a favorite. The guy that he wrestled is a favorite, and that is the one and only guy that terrorizes the whole entire scene of professional wrestling, the Bulk Nasty. Bulk Nasty and Sean Phoenix faced one-on-one with each other on August the 4th, and I mean, that was a typical David and Goliath throwdown. You want to talk a little bit on that?
Well, it wasn't your typical David and Goliath throwdown because Goliath won.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Bulk
What
Nasty
do you
came
expect?
in and he took what on paper probably shouldn't have been the easiest match because, Sean Phoenix is one of the most successful guys here at RYSE.
I agree.
And Bulk Nasty, he came in and pretty much just destroyed him.
My thing is, what do you expect? Now we can give credit. I can give credit, and even going back to past history, I remember Sean Phoenix and I actually used to run a tag team circle in a certain company where I knew a lot about Sean Phoenix. I knew that no matter how many times you knocked him down, he would come back. But that's against other humans. We're talking about a monster. We're talking about a beast. We're talking about someone that does not care if fans like him or if fans hate him. He is there to destroy any opponent that he steps into the ring with. And I think that's exactly what he tried to do against Sean Phoenix. I mean, you look right there. I mean, a win is a win and a loss is a loss. Unfortunately, it went to my man, Bulk Nasty.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Now, the refs preach the truth.
I can't argue with you there. Bulk's big guy. He came in and he obliterated the smaller competition. I got to say, in pro wrestling, you don't necessarily always expect that. We've seen a lot of little guys overcome the big guy, and Sean, you got to think, is one of the guys who would have the X factor, but he didn't do it. And Bulk Nasty reigned supreme.
I think when getting down to it, when you look at it, and I think when speaking to a lot of our fans, even after the show here at the Stronghold, they wanted things to go a little bit different. Sean Phoenix is a fan favorite. He has been one that's been loved since the beginning of this great company, but then he could not find that good old David and Goliath Disney type story to send everyone home happy. He gave a great fight all the way to the end, showed fire spirit all the way through, but unfortunately he came just a little too shy of that victory. My thing is, and this is a question I want to raise to you and perhaps anyone that's listening, what does it take to make a man like Bulk Nasty fall? This has been a man that has not been stopped, has not been knocked down. What does it take to end a guy like Bulk Nasty?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, I guess we might see in a number of months who is going to be the person to knock him down, if anybody, but I can't tell you at this moment.
Well, that's the question, guys. I don't know if you know already. I think Danny knows that, hey, listen, the ref's speaking a little bit of truth here, but we're going to speak a little bit more truth a little bit later. Stay tuned with us, guys.
Moving forward, we had the main event taking on Flanimal House, or at least 3 members of the main event, Tony Johnston, London Ali, and Duke Davis.
Hold on. Wait. Before we even talk about that, let's talk about how amazing it was for the main event hotline. I mean, if you're a guy like me, you know your history about music. A famous group said it's 5 in the... Oh, no, that was the wrong hotline. I think that was pretty... Yeah, that was pretty risky.
It was ridiculous. It's stupid.
What?
It's a joke. I mean, it's like if I painted my face and acted like I was an alien. All right, it's stupid. This is wrestling. All right?
When you look at the hotline, though, I mean, with guys like what we say, people that paint their face like aliens. If there's anyone that's even like that, I mean, they need a hotline like what the main event uses. They're brilliant. They know how to captivate the people. There's a reason why they're called the main event.
Okay, Rev. Let's get to the match at hand. And you're right. There is a reason they're called the main event, and the main event is growing. Each and every month, it seems like they've added new members. And you and me both, we know how strength in numbers can help you in the wrestling business. You are a cult of personality. You get people to flock to you. I have done the exact same thing. It helps. It benefits you every step of the way. The main event knows that. The main event is taking over RYSE Wrestling. They are a force to be reckoned with. They took on Flanimal House. Maybe they needed to go a little bit dirty to get the win in the end, but they got the win.
In my personal opinion, you talk about going dirty. There's no such thing as going dirty. It's you either get the job done or you don't. Now, if you don't agree with how they got the job done, then maybe you yourself need to call the main event hotline. Maybe you need to talk to Gannon. Maybe you need to talk to Duke or London or Tony themselves and see why you don't see eye to eye with them. What the Rev, personally, how the Rev feels about this is, I think it's brilliant. Everything that they do you not see the playbook that's on Gannon's arm? Anytime that they go, even when he's not there, you see a huddle that the main event performs, like when they did on August the 4th. So they know what they're doing. They know how to gravitate. They know the weaknesses of their opponents, and they capitalize on it. It's a brilliant team. Now, you talk about the growth of it. I mean, just like you said, we both know about numbers. Numbers are important. If you have them, use them. That's what they did. They used them. Can you blame them? No, you can't blame them. Come on. See? But here's one question I want to ask you.
What's that?
When looking at this Flanimal House, now, Now, you talk about people you don't like. I can't get one. That make me want to shout thing, that's the Rev stick, I don't get with it. No one has a choir unless they're the Rev. But at the same time, they act like a bunch of buffoons. I mean, who comes out and what do they wear? Flannel?
What? Yeah, they've changed their look a little bit. They're trying to be a party for the people at RYSE. I don't know if maybe it's their strategy. Maybe they're trying to play a little mind game, having a little bit of fun. The same exact way that the main event does with their hotline.
You can't.
Maybe they're working off each other a little bit there.
You crossed the line right there. You cannot.
I crossed the line.
You can't put them in the same thing. You talk about the Flannel House. You talk about the main event. There's only one main group that is dominating the scene of professional wrestling outside of the pulpit.
I didn't.
That's the main event.
I didn't say that the main event wasn't being dominant. I was saying that maybe Flannel House was trying to capitalize off of that same kind of shtick. So if you listen a little bit, maybe you could get what I'm saying.
And as we continue moving on, a match that I just thought was just a typical thing that clearly I love was a newcomer to the RYSE Wrestling scene, and that being the great, the brilliant, the intelligent, the sophisticated, the Bob Barker of pro wrestling, Magnum CK versus the nerd. That's all I got.
That's all you got? That's all you got for Lewis? Okay, well, here's the thing. Lewis proved himself a little bit.
Here we go.
In the early goings, Lewis was struggling, so he made a few calculations that helped him get back up.
That's cheating.
How's that cheating?
That's cheating.
It's strategizing. Anyways, he kept going, then Magnum CK ended up cheating to get the win.
Oh, okay.
That's the story of the match.
Okay. So you call it cheating. I call it strategizing. Now, when Lewis uses a calculator, you say that that's not cheating. The only reason why he was using a calculator, because if you remember, Magnum CK, after time, would bring his famous, award-winning, Emmy-nominated game show right here to RYSE Wrestling, which I feel is a brilliant game. I would play it myself, but I'm already blessed. I'm already lucky, and I win all the time. So therefore, I don't need to play it, but I watch it.
So if you interrupt a series of matches with videos and lights and cameras and games, that's not cheating.
I do it every day of my life.
But to take a moment and strategize, that is, in the Rev land.
In the Rev land. It's actually the Rev's pulpit.
Okay.
But when you look at it and when you remember, even at the beginning of the match, anytime that Lewis would feel he was slightly at a disadvantage, he would always run back to the calculator. He would always go back, try to calculate something, and then all of a sudden get the upper hand, which I will give to you, Lewis. I will give to you, Lewis. Smart strategy, thinking outside of the box, using things that normal man will not use in wrestling. But at the same time, I mean, how many people walk around with a calculator? I mean, once I was on with 7th grade math, I didn't worry about a calculator after that. It's all in the mind, man. It's all in the mind. Lewis doesn't have a mind. If he doesn't have a calculator, he can't win. Even when he had it, what? Guess what? He lost. Okay, so what do you got to say about that? Huh?
All right, Magnum did get the best of him this time around. And Magnum took that time to kind of bully and berate Lewis, which, as a man of the cloth, I don't understand how you're going to try to justify. But even if you do, what I saw out of Lewis was the backbone that I know that he has, which is why every month on the Able Media pre-show, you've seen Darth Kahn trying to recruit Lewis to his side, because there's a tenacity that Lewis has about him that can come out if pushed.
Let me just say this, because you're confusing me for a little bit. I'm just going to speak a little bit of truth in your life. I think you're just mad because Magnum CK could do something that DK Abel can't.
Well,
and that's beat Lewis. You can preach that. It's true.
That's a misconception. You're talking about another person. We'll
be back right after Magnum CK's game. Stay tuned with us, guys. Tip your waiter.
All right, the next segment here, we're going to talk about the Philly Marino Experience taking on Christian Noir and the returning Beast Man. Rev, you have anything to say as soon as you're done dancing here?
I'm just getting my Philly Merino on right now. You never heard that? The Philly Merino. That's what they came out dancing. They came out doing the shit.
I thought you were grinding. I thought that's what I.
No, this is not R. Kelly. This is not R. Kelly. Okay, I was doing the Philly Merino. Now,
Is that what the Philly Merino experience is about?
Well, they were about that, but when we found out a little bit later in the night, the dancing didn't quite go all night long. And in the words of Lionel Richie or whoever made that song, all night long. Yeah, you like that. But when you look at this match, it wasn't just any ordinary match. I mean, right at the beginning, sitting there at the commentary table with Paul Atlas, sitting there with Jim LaMotta, they came out there. We had Christian Noir, the Jeepers Creepers of pro wrestling, in my personal opinion. I mean, when he smells your fear, he knows how to attack like a hyena. It's just, but he's one dangerous person. Then you have a guy that's like Shirley Doe. I mean, you just say that name, that just says legend all across not only Pennsylvania, but all across the tri-state area. And then you have this mysterious woman that we've been trying to figure out for so long, Megan Myers. However, before even the match began, I don't know if you remember, Shirley Doe actually got on the mic, spoke directly to them in the ring, and told them some very profound words of truth. And you know, the Rev, I know a lot about truth, but one thing he said is that now it's your time, you're gonna pay the price. Next thing you know, a very familiar spirit returned. And that is the one, the only, the dangerous one that can destroy almost anyone that's in his sight, Beastman. He was there, they came to the ring, and they completely wreaked havoc and tried to do whatever they could to injure Philly Merino.
Well, they didn't just try. I mean, they did that. They beat Philly Merino kind of out of RYSE Wrestling. I would venture to guess. They're calling themselves the Grindhouse. That would be the team of Christian Noir and Beastman and Shirley Doe and Meg Myers. The whole experience that they bring to the table, which is why I thought you were grinding earlier.
No.
I had a little bit of insight that maybe you didn't about their team name.
But
anyways, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with here at RYSE Wrestling. We'll see if maybe Philly Merino experience makes their way back, but in the meantime, I'm sure that the Grindhouse is what we need to keep an eye on.
Now back to it's one thing that our fans have been talking about all throughout social media, through Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, people have been talking about it, and that is something that's been very controversial for about the last few months, that one being involved by the one and only Flawless, the Gavel David Lawless. If we do recall, David Lawless back in early March made a potential career-ending injury to our trainer and owner of the RYSE Wrestling Arena, First Class Brandon K, including using some of that with a top rope leg drop to a chair that was attached to Brandon K's shoulder, an injury that he had for previous years, now a reoccurring one, unfortunately causing for him to have surgery a little bit later this month. However, on August the 4th, as it was announced that Brandon K would finally address this situation, his music plays, the crowd stands up, the crowd cries and screams for Brandon K to come out, but they're mistaken. The Gavel.
Yep, then out comes David Lawless impersonating Brandon K with a full wig, dance routine, all that. One thing I have to say, the great irony in this whole situation, months back, David Lawless came out acting as if he was announcing his end of his career, and he may have ended Brandon K's career. Brandon K has been absent. We thought we were going to finally have an announcement from him, and he hasn't come out. And instead, what we got was another one of Brandon K's former students coming to stick up for Brandon K, which we've seen in recent months. And like we've seen in recent months, David Lawless wasn't having it. David Lawless went and he played dirty. He went with a low blow. He cost Lee Moriarty, the first ever grand champion of RYSE Wrestling, lost to David Lawless in the ring, 1, 2, 3, via the low blow. But I mean, you know, as well as I do in wrestling, however it happens, and David Lawless is looking like the strongest, maybe the strongest competitor in all of RYSE Wrestling, annihilating all of Brandon K's students and disrespecting the name of the owner while he's away.
Hold on. Now, as much as the Rev would love to be a yes man to this, and I understand that somehow my bills get paid, but let's be honest, the Rev has a lot of avenues of making money, as you know. So let me just preach a little bit of prosperity here. You say disrespecting the name of Brandon K. Now, do not get me wrong. Give him his credit. There's been reasons why he's been in this business for decades. You know, some perhaps say even 90 years or so. I don't even know how old he is. Probably older than Jerry Lynn. You're older than Moses. But there's a reason why he's been along for so long. He has wit. He has strength. He has wisdom. But make no mistake about it, David Lawless is not disrespecting the name of Brandon Kay simply because he has been beating each and every one of his trainees. Now, one thing I can say is that one thing that stuck out to me when Lee Moriarty came out, when he first came out, he wasn't the cheerful, the smiling Lee Moriarty that the fans knew to love. He came out with a mission. And he said, simply now because I do not have the weight of worrying about protecting this title, my focus is going in other areas. And that is to protect the name, the legacy, and the respect of first-class Brandon Kay.
The respect of Brandon Kay that you don't think was being tarnished.
No.
But the fact that he dressed up like him, sang and danced around, you're fine with that. So if I dressed up like the Rev, if I went out and put on a sermon in the ring, that's not disrespect. If I called myself the Rev Ron Hunt,
if you were to ask me, impersonation is the closest thing to flattering, so I'll be honored, even though you would be an ugly Rev.
I will make sure that I do that for you. I'll be the Rev for you. For a
if my offering goes down, I just want you to know I'm going to hurt you.
Why would your offering go down if it's not a show of disrespect? If it's an accolade, if I'm building you up, why would it hurt your name? That's what you're saying. David Lawless is hurting Brandon Kay's name. He's trying to hurt his business, and you're saying there's no effect. That's what you're saying.
When you're looking at this, we talk about hurting the business. I talk about making the business better. There's a reason why he's called the flawless one. There's a reason why even outside of wrestling, he has a degree in restoring order in things that are disorder. And that's exactly what he's trying to bring here to RYSE Wrestling. It's all good intentions.
I think maybe the reason he's not actively using that degree, and he's instead pursuing pro wrestling, is because maybe he just doesn't get that he's not that great, and he has to resort to dirty tactics all the time. You've seen it, I've seen it. He is a powerhouse here at RYSE, but it's because he plays dirty.
Call it dirty, call it whatever you want. One thing you have to question that we're all continuing to question is, what is the motives of the gavel David Lawless? And then also, will we ever? We've heard rumors about him showing up. He really wanted to get out there, but he couldn't because management will stop him. The doctors will stop him. But will we ever see first-class Brandon Kay in a professional wrestling ring again? Stay tuned to us.
And finally, ladies and gentlemen, we had our main event of the night, which saw the RYSE Grand Champion, Matt Connard, in his first title defense against Derek Direction. A title match that Derek Direction earned, I guess you could say, by ambushing.
Is there a reason why you're using air quotations? I mean, if you earn something, you earn something. I mean, that's just how it goes. He was hungry. He got it. He talked to our manager of talent, our head of talent relations, Marcus Mann, and he got exactly what he needed.
The match came about by him ambushing people and then getting what he asked for. If you call that earning it, that's why I put it in quotes, you can say that he earned it. He talked his way into it or fought his way into it. But he got this title shot for the RYSE Grand Championship, which he has been obsessed with for so long. And in the end, it didn't work out for him. Matt Connard was victorious.
He was one that was victorious. But the thing is, when you look back through the whole entire thing, a match that you think would be either one-sided one way or one-sided the other way was one that was perfectly down the middle. As only RYSE can do, was definitely a back and forth, tooth and nail type of match that you can only expect here to be a main event at RYSE. It could easily captivate the whole entire Pennsylvania area.
That is an interesting point, because what you said resonate is that Derek Direction could have started this off the way that he has worked his way up in RYSE Wrestling. He could have ambushed and made it one-sided in his direction. Matt Connard could have gotten an early advantage, and he could have just kept that control the way that we've seen him control people in that ring. But you're right, it was very back and forth. It was a great main event. Like we see at RYSE Wrestling every night.
I think one thing when looking back at it, I mean, there was history that was made even the event before, because our very first RYSE Grand Champion, Lee Moriarty, had a very hard-fought match. And fair and square, Matt Connard was able to captivate win the title, which a lot of people were shocked. Some were happy, some were sad, a lot of mixed emotions. But then we see a transition. Instead of wrestling as a competitor, now he has to wrestle as the champion. We know no matter if it's a tag title, no matter if it's a singles title, once you have any type of gold from any type of company, there's an automatic target on your back. So all of a sudden now Derek Direction goes from stealing the championship off of Lee Moriarty to then ambushing Matt Connor, which set up to this whole thing of now what we had on August 4th, which was the main event, Matt Connor versus Derek Direction.
The stakes were higher, and they both had to wrestle differently. They couldn't be reckless. You're right. That's absolutely right. But the real story coming out of this, Matt Connor got the win. The real story coming out of this, which you alluded to earlier, was that after the match, Gory, who is one of the most celebrated wrestlers in the Pittsburgh area, across a number of states, not just within the Pittsburgh area. He's a very accomplished wrestler. He went on the screen. He challenged Matt Connor for a title versus title contest. Gory is the reigning Remix Wrestling champion. He challenged Matt Connor to defend the RYSE Grand Championship against the Remix Championship here at RYSE next month, and Connor accepted. That's going to happen.
I believe. Honestly, it was one of the most shocking announcements that were made. Actually, right before Paul Atlas, Jim Lamont, and myself were right about to go to break, end up the whole show. As we're about to get up, all of a sudden, the lights go out. The screen comes on, and at one given second, people would freeze right in their footsteps, and what you would see on the screen, just like you stated, was the one, the only Gory. This man is not a stranger to the business by all means. As a matter of fact, he's not even a stranger to Matt Connor. These two guys used to work around the whole entire area, right all around IWC, RYSE, anywhere, Remix, anywhere type of company you can name, they were there as the Headless Horsemen. These are guys that used to be two best friends, but now all of a sudden, Gory said one thing. He said, no matter if you knock, no matter if you answer, I'm kicking the door in, and I want what I think is due to me, and that is the RYSE Grand Championship. So big news is coming out for this coming show that we have coming up, only that you can see right here on Wrestling, just as you stated. It's going to be title versus title, Remix Championship versus the RYSE Grand Championship right here at the RYSE Stronghold Arena. You can't beat that. That's something that has never been done in history here at RYSE, and what a powerful way that a lot of news that we've had coming up.
Another great main event as always here at RYSE Wrestling. You don't want to miss it. You know how exciting former teams, when they finally come to a head and they collide, what kind of a match they can deliver, because they know each other so well. You see things that you wouldn't see otherwise, and that's what's going to happen next month here at RYSE.
It's gonna be a great one, guys. If you want to get any of your tickets whatsoever, make sure once again you are following us on all of the social media, including at our website at rysewrestling.com, I believe. Make sure you also are following us on all of our social media, RYSE_wrestling. And if you need any type of information, you know that you can catch us here for the RYSE Report exclusively every month on Armstrong Cable. You need your tickets, you want to be here, 1952 Lamont Drive, or University Drive in Lamont, Fergus. I almost had a tongue twister there because I'm not talking about myself. I like that even easier. But you can find all your information right here. You need any type of questions, make sure you comment, make sure you message us, and by all means, if you missed the show, you can always buy it. IndieWrestling.us. Until next time, I'm the Rev Ron Hunt,
DK Abel,
and make sure that you rise up.